All right, Celtics fans, buckle up because things are about to get wild in Boston. The offseason is creeping up fast, and the buzz around some potentially massive trades involving the Celtics is growing louder by the day. We're talking about shakeups. That could redefine this team's roster heading into the next season, and honestly, it feels like we're on the brink of some serious moves that could change everything. The Celtics have been riding high lately, but with the salary cap situation and the new collective bargaining agreement restrictions, the front office is going to have to navigate a tricky path. The team's payroll is projected to be the highest in the entire NBA, which puts them deep into luxury tax territory, and that means serious penalties if they don't make some adjustments. The clock is ticking, and the Celtics can't just sit still if they want to stay competitive and avoid financial headaches. The main challenge here is that Boston is currently over the so-called second apron in the salary cap structure by a significant amount, around $23 million according to insiders. And that's a tough spot to be in. Unless they find a team willing to take on a huge expiring contract like Chris Porzingis' $30 million deal, there's no simple way to get back under that threshold with just one trade. So the front office is expected to have to pull off multiple moves, juggling salaries and pieces just to create the necessary breathing room. It's complicated because there aren't a ton of teams out there with enough cap space to absorb these big contracts, and most squads are reluctant to take on heavy salaries without getting solid returns in the process. That means Boston's trades will likely require some clever negotiation and probably some draft picks thrown in to sweeten the deals. Speaking of Porzingis, his name keeps coming up in these trade talks. The Celtics are reportedly open to moving him mainly because of that massive contract that will expire after next season. However, getting rid of that deal is not going to be cheap. Most teams that might be interested will want some form of compensation, likely a first-round pick or other valuable assets, because Porzingis hasn't exactly been lighting up the court lately. His performance has dipped, and that's tanked. His trade value, making the financial aspect of his contract the primary attraction rather than his on-court production. It's a classic case where the Celtics need to shed salary, and Porzingis' contract is a big chunk of that, but they'll have to pay a price in draft capital to make it happen. Then there's Jrue Holiday, another key name in these offseason. Rumors! Holiday's contract is even longer and more expensive, with a player option for a massive amount a few years down the road. Moving him won't be any easier than moving Porzingis, especially because his salary is so hefty and only a handful of teams can realistically absorb that kind of cap hit. The Celtics have been linked to the idea of attaching draft picks to Holiday's contract in potential trades, which just goes to show how complex the financial puzzle is. But here's the kicker. Recent reports suggest that Boston might actually be demanding a first-round pick in return for Holiday, which flips the narrative entirely. Instead of just trying to unload salary, the Celtics might be looking to actually gain assets in a deal, showing confidence in their front office's ability to make savvy moves. If anyone knows how to pull off unexpected trades, it's the Celtics' brain trust led by Brad Stevens, who has a history of making smart, sometimes surprising decisions that have pushed this team closer and closer to a championship. Stevens' moves over the years have shown a knack for finding value where others might not see it. He's traded key players for what seemed like underwhelming returns at first glance, only for those moves to pay off big time down the road. So when rumors say the Celtics might demand a first-round pick for a player like Holiday, it's worth believing that there's a method to the madness. The Celtics aren't afraid to shake things up if it means long-term success, and that could even open the door to trading big names if the right offer comes along. Think about Jaylen Brown, for example. He's one of the core pieces of this team, but with his contract set to balloon to nearly $70 million in the coming years, the Celtics might have to consider all options to stay under the tax apron and keep the roster flexible. That's a tough pill to swallow for fans, but sometimes front offices have to make hard decisions for the sake of the bigger picture. The trade market this offseason is expected to be fast and furious, with several big-name players possibly on the move. Teams are already positioning themselves for the scramble. Kevin Durant and Giannis Antetokounmpo are the two most talked about stars whose situations could send ripples throughout the league, and the Celtics might find themselves caught up in the middle of those blockbuster deals, even if it's just as a facilitator. Reports indicate Durant's time with the Phoenix Suns might be coming to an end, And while the Celtics aren't expected to be landing him directly, they could be involved in multi-team trades that help get pieces shuffled around. Meanwhile, the Giannis trade market is murkier. Despite lots of speculation, the Bucks don't seem eager to move him right now. And without a formal trade request from Giannis, his future remains uncertain. If neither Durant nor Giannis end up moving, that leaves the Celtics and the rest of the league looking at the next best trade bait. And again, Jaylen Brown could be that guy. He's a young, elite talent with a huge contract, which makes him both incredibly valuable and potentially a salary headache. Some of the top contenders might see Brown as the missing piece to push them over the edge. And if Boston can't make a deal with the big stars, Brown could be the key to bringing in the assets they need to reshape the team and stay financially viable. It's a delicate balance, and every move will have to be calculated to avoid crippling luxury tax penalties while still keeping the Celtics in championship contention. And let's not forget the draft. This year's class is highly coveted, and teams with cap space are eager to load up on first-round picks, meaning the Celtics might have to get creative to acquire or trade picks as part of their roster overhaul. The offseason won't just be about player movement, but also about shrewd draft capital management to build for the future without breaking the bank. Boston's front office understands this better than most, which is why they've been so cautious, yet aggressive in their approach so far. So, to sum up the situation, the Boston Celtics are facing a complex offseason where they need to shed salary to avoid luxury tax penalties. But the salary cap landscape around the league makes that incredibly difficult. Big contracts like those of Porzingis and Holiday are tough to move, especially without giving up valuable draft assets. Yet the Celtics might not just be looking to offload salary. They could be aiming to get good returns, possibly first round picks in any trade they make. Brad Stevens and the front office are clearly prepared for a challenging summer, ready to make the smart moves that keep the team competitive now and for years to come. Looking ahead, the Celtics front office will also have to carefully consider how any trades affect team chemistry and the locker room atmosphere. This is a group that has built a strong culture over the last few years, one focused on hard work, defense, and unselfish basketball. Players like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown have grown into leadership roles. On any significant roster changes, need to preserve that foundation. Trading away key contributors always carries risks, especially when it involves young stars or beloved role players who fit well into the team system. The Celtics' success has often hinged on the balance between star power and role players who buy into the team's vision. So it's a tightrope walk to maintain that balance while navigating the salary cap maze. Another important factor is how the coaching staff will adapt to the new roster configuration. With Brad Stevens stepping into the front office role, the coaching decisions will now be in the hands of Joe Mazzulla, who has big shoes to fill. Mazzulla's approach to managing minutes, rotations, and defensive schemes will need to align with the players the front office brings in. If the Celtics decide to go after more veteran players on shorter contracts, it could change the style of play, add in experience but possibly less long-term upside. On the other hand, bringing in young, developing players through the draft or trades could maintain the team's youth movement and athleticism but may come with growing pains. It's a delicate balance between immediate competitiveness and building a sustainable contender. But before we continue, please remember to subscribe to the channel and give the video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest news about the Boston Celtics. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. It's the kind of whisper that can send shockwaves through the NBA, a rumor so potent it could redefine the Eastern Conference landscape. The word around league circles, growing louder with each passing hour, suggests a truly monumental shift. Al Horford, the veteran anchor of the Boston Celtics, is reportedly on the verge of making a stunning move to their bitter rivals, the New York Knicks. While nothing is official, the buzz is undeniable. Sources close to the situation, speaking on condition of anonymity due to the sensitive nature of the negotiations, indicate that Horford's time in Boston may be drawing to a close. After years of contributing significantly to the Celtics' success, including deep playoff runs and a recent championship, the possibility of him donning the blue and orange of the Knicks is gaining serious traction. Imagine the implications. Horford's defensive prowess, his calm leadership, and his ability to stretch the floor would be a massive boon for a Knicks team looking to solidify its contender status. For Boston, losing a player of his caliber, especially to a direct competitor, would undoubtedly sting and force a reevaluation of their front court strategy. This isn't just idle speculation. The pieces seem to align for such a dramatic scenario. The Knicks are known to be aggressive in pursuing veteran talent that fits their gritty, defensive-minded approach. Horford, at this stage of his career, might be seeking a new challenge or a slightly different role, and the allure of New York, with its passionate fan base and upward trajectory, could be too strong to resist. Of course, the Celtics would likely fight to retain him, but if the reports are true, and Horford has indeed set his sights on Madison Square Garden, it would represent one of the most unexpected and impactful free agent decisions in recent memory. The rumor mill is churning, and the NBA world holds its breath, waiting to see if this audacious whisper becomes a thunderous reality. The rivalry between Boston and New York, already fierce, would reach an entirely new level with Horford's potential. Defection. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Boston Celtics, please subscribe to our channel and give the video a like. We always appreciate your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.